What do you do when everything familiar begins to fall apart? Not slowly, not gradually, but suddenly, like the ground beneath you just vanished. Maybe that's where you are right now. You're holding it together on the outside, but inside, it feels like your soul is fraying at the edges. People around you see you functioning, but they don't hear the silent scream inside your spirit that says, "I can't do this much longer." And yet, here you are, still standing, still breathing, still believing, even if barely. That is trust. And not just any trust. I'm talking about the kind of trust that grows in the dark. The kind that whispers, "God, I don't understand," while your world unravels. Have you ever felt like you were walking across a rope bridge over a canyon of uncertainty, with the wind whipping against your face and every step creaking beneath you? You don't know what's holding it all together, but you keep walking. Not because you see the structure, but because something deep inside tells you it will hold. That's what real trust in God looks like. It's not always peaceful. It's not always poetic. Sometimes it's a war cry through clenched teeth, a trembling yes in the middle of heartbreak, a decision to believe when everything says not to. David, in the depth of his own distress, once said, "But as for me, I trust in you, O Lord. I say, you are my God." He wasn't saying this from a mountaintop. He was saying it surrounded by rejection, fear, and uncertainty, and that makes all the difference. Trust is not a feeling, it's a decision. You don't wait to feel strong to trust. You trust, and strength follows. You don't wait for answers to believe. You believe, and peace begins to grow. That's what this message is about. It's for those who are still standing, even when everything around them says they shouldn't be. If you're walking through confusion, heartbreak, or delay, and you're still saying, "God, I trust you," even through tears, then this word is for you. Stay with me, because over the next few minutes, we're going deeper into what it really means to say, "I am still trusting you, Lord." Let this journey strengthen your heart, your faith, and your hope. Comment Amen below if your trust in God has ever been tested, but you're still choosing to believe.
Have you ever wondered if your quiet faith even counts? When the healing didn't come, when the door didn't open, when the answer never arrived. Does trust still matter when it's silent, unseen, uncelebrated? Yes. In fact, that might be the most powerful kind of trust there is. We live in a world that celebrates outcomes, the testimony after the miracle, the story after the breakthrough. But what about the middle? What about the space between the prayer and the promise? That's where trust lives. That's where it grows. You may feel like you're stuck in that middle space, waiting for the job, the healing, the breakthrough, the clarity. You've fasted, you've prayed, you've declared, and yet nothing seems to shift. But trust isn't just about what changes around you. It's about what God is building within you. There's a kind of trust that's formed when you have nothing left to lean on but God Himself. That's not shallow optimism. That's not blind hope. That's refined faith. It's the kind of trust that whispers, "It is well," when nothing makes sense. Like the Shunammite woman in 2 Kings 4. Her son had just died. Her heart was breaking, but when asked how she was doing, she replied, "It is well." 2 Kings 4:26. She wasn't pretending everything was fine. She wasn't ignoring reality. She had simply chosen to anchor herself in a deeper reality, that God had moved before and He could move again. That's the trust that gets God's attention. We're tempted to define God's faithfulness by the last thing he did. But true trust says, even if he's silent now, I remember who he's always been. It's not about denying the pain, it's about declaring the promise in spite of it. Faith doesn't grow in perfect conditions. It grows when you're standing in the ruins saying, I still believe. And that belief, that whisper of surrender in the dark, that's not fragile faith. That's faith that has survived fire. That's trust with scars. And God honors it. So if you're still holding on, even with tired hands, even with a bruised heart, know this: he sees it. He hears it. He responds to it. Though the fig tree may not blossom, nor fruit be on the vines, yet I will rejoice in the Lord. Habakkuk 3, 17 through 18. That's not just poetry. That's a battle cry. If you're in the middle of your "yet I will," you are right where God is shaping something eternal in you. If this word speaks to your current season, type "Glory to God" in the comments below. Let your faith speak even if your voice shakes. What if the pain you're trying to escape is the very place God is building your strength? Let's be honest, we don't want pain. We pray it away. We run from it. We doubt ourselves when it lingers too long. But here's the truth. Some of the most unshakable trust in God isn't born in miracles. It's born in the moments we thought would break us. Because that's where God reveals who he truly is. When you're standing in the ruins of something you prayed for, when you're staring at the door that stayed shut, when you're left with nothing but the whisper, I'm still here, God. You're not alone. Job knew this kind of pain. He lost everything, his wealth, his health, his children, and still had the courage to say, though he slay me, yet will I trust him. That's not a phrase you say from a safe place. That's the language of holy surrender. Job wasn't clinging to comfort. He was clinging to truth, that God's goodness doesn't disappear just because life gets dark. Sometimes we think trust means never feeling fear or frustration, but real trust chooses God even through the fear, even through the anger, even through the heartbreak. And maybe that's where you are. Maybe your voice trembles every time you say, I still trust you. Maybe your prayers sound more like questions than declarations. Maybe your heart is breaking as you try to stand. But hear me, that trust counts. God isn't moved by performance. He's moved by authenticity. That's why the most powerful act of worship isn't always a loud shout of praise. It's a quiet, broken whisper of surrender. You don't have to pretend it doesn't hurt. You just have to stay in the presence of the one who heals. Because the fire that feels like it's burning you is actually refining you. You're not falling apart, you're being formed. And the pain that feels like the end, it might be the beginning of your greatest testimony. He heals the brokenhearted and binds up their wounds. So don't silence your tears. Don't shame your pain. Don't measure your faith by your feelings. Your continued trust, especially in this, is sacred, it's holy, and it is preparing you for glory. If your heart has ever trusted through tears, comment, "He is faithful," below, and let others know they're not alone.
Have you ever cried out to God and heard nothing? No voice, no sign, just silence. It's one of the hardest places to be as a believer. When you need a breakthrough, beg for a word, plead for a sign, and heaven seems quiet. And yet, this silence is where true trust either collapses or takes root. We often assume God's silence means his absence. But what if it's actually his invitation? An invitation to dig deeper, to anchor your faith not in what you feel, but in who He is. You see, trust doesn't always feel like fire. Sometimes it feels like stillness, not because God has forgotten you, but because He's forming something in you, something eternal, something unshakable. This is the kind of trust that shows up after the excitement wears off, after the prayers feel dry, after the worship no longer stirs your emotions, after you've exhausted your strength and still choose to stay. Have you been there? That place where you say, God, I don't hear you, but I'm not walking away. That, my friend, is faith matured. David knew this place. In Psalm 13, he begins with, "How long, Lord? Will you forget me forever? How long will you hide your face from me?" Psalm 13:1. But he doesn't stop there. By verse 5, he declares, "But I trust in your unfailing love. My heart rejoices in your salvation." That's the shift. That's the resolute. He didn't get all the answers, but he held on to the truth. And that's what you're being invited into right now. When the future is blurry, when the promises feel distant, when the answers are delayed, will you still trust? Not because you see the way, but because you know the one who makes the way. That kind of trust becomes a shield against despair. It becomes a declaration, not to God alone, but to your own soul. I may not feel Him, but I know He is faithful. Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not on your own understanding. Proverbs 3:5. There will be days when your understanding will scream louder than your faith. That's when you say, I trust anyway. Because silence is not a sign of abandonment. It's a sacred space where God trains you to walk by faith, not by sight. He hasn't left you. He's closer than ever. And when the silence finally breaks, you'll be stronger, wiser, deeper, because you chose to trust. If you're choosing to trust God even when you don't understand, type, I trust you, Lord, in the comments, and let your silence be filled with faith. Let's take a breath together, right here, right now, wherever you are, whether you're sitting in your car, lying in bed, or listening in between tasks. Pause with me. I want to invite you into a moment of prayer, not just to listen, but to join me. We're not praying because we have it all figured out. We're praying because we don't. We're praying because we've reached the end of ourselves, and we know that's exactly where God begins. So close your eyes if you can, or just let these words settle into your spirit. Let's go to God, not with performance, but with surrender. Let's begin. God, you see everything. You see the things I haven't told anyone about. You know the thoughts I've tried to silence, the fears I've tried to fight, the moments I wanted to give up but didn't. You know how many nights I've laid awake, wondering if things will ever change. You know the prayers I whispered through clenched teeth, through tears I didn't want anyone to see. You know how tired I've been, how weary my heart has felt, how close I've come to walking away. But even now I'm here. Even now I'm choosing you. Not because everything makes sense, but because I've tasted your goodness before, and I believe you're not done. God, I bring you the shattered pieces of what I thought life would look like, the missed opportunities, the delayed answers, the broken dreams. I lay them all at your feet, not because I've stopped caring, but because I've started trusting again. I don't want control, I want closeness. I don't want easy, I want eternal. So Lord, meet me here, in the middle of the unknown,
in the tension between faith and fear, in the space where trust feels like the hardest thing to give. You are the God who led Abraham without a map. You are the God who met Job in his sorrow. You are the God who called Peter to walk on water and lifted him when he sank. And I believe you are still that God today. The Lord is near to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit. So I come as I am, not strong, not perfect, just surrendered. Take this offering of trust, Lord, even if it's shaking, even if it's small, because I know you can work with that.
Lord, I confess, I don't always understand your ways. I've looked at closed doors and wondered if you were even listening. I've watched others receive answers while I waited in silence. And if I'm honest, sometimes it felt like you forgot me. But today, I'm choosing something different. I'm choosing to believe that delay is not denial. I'm choosing to believe that your silence is not your absence. And I'm choosing to believe that you are doing more that I can see. I surrender my need to control the outcome. I let go of the pressure to figure everything out. Because you didn't ask me to understand the whole path. You asked me to walk by faith. So I step forward, Lord, even when the ground beneath me feels unstable, even when my emotions tell me to stop, even when fear tries to shout louder than truth. Train my heart to follow you, not my feelings. Train my mind to anchor itself in your word, not in worry. Father, I give you the questions I haven't found answers for. Why it had to happen that way. Why the healing hasn't come yet. Why I'm still waiting while others seem to move forward. And in return, I receive your peace. Not peace that comes from knowing everything, but peace that comes from knowing you. I want to trust you the way children trust, not because they understand, but because they know who holds their hand. You are still holding mine, and I thank you for never letting go. Even when I've doubted, even when I've delayed obedience, even when I've allowed fear to lead, you remained faithful. God, I don't just want faith that works when things are easy. I want faith that endures. I want trust that outlasts the storm. I want a heart that clings to you when the answers are few, but your presence is near. Now, faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. So I will believe when it's dark. I will declare your promises when I feel weak. And I will trust that you are working behind the scenes, even when I can't trace the plan. Lord, don't just change my circumstances. Change me in the middle of them. Make me more dependent on your presence, more rooted in your word, more confident in your voice. You are enough. You are always enough.
Father, there are parts of me that feel worn thin. Parts of my faith that once felt strong now feel fragile. Parts of my hope that once burned bright now flicker in the wind. There are places in my heart that feel bruised, not because I stopped believing, but because I've been believing for so long without seeing. But today, I bring those places to you. I bring you the fatigue that doesn't show up on the outside, the mental exhaustion from constantly asking, what's next? The emotional weight of carrying silent battles while still smiling for others. You see it all. You see when I get up in the morning and wonder if things will finally shift. You see when I keep showing up, even when my spirit feels empty.
You see when I keep praying, not because I feel full of faith, but because I refuse to give up. That is worship. That is trust. And so I ask, Lord, strengthen what's left. Breathe fresh wind into my lungs. Restore my confidence where it's been shaken. Revive my joy where it's been buried beneath disappointment. I know you're not asking me to carry this alone. So today, I put the burden down. I let go of the need to pretend I'm okay when I'm not. I release the pressure to look strong when you already promised to be my strength. Because what I need isn't just relief, I need renewal. Create in me a clean heart, O God. Renew a right spirit within me. Help me see that even this moment, the tired one, the quiet one, still matters to you. You never asked me to be invincible. You asked me to be honest. And in that honesty, you meet me. In that honesty, you heal. In that honesty, you restore. He gives strength to the weary and increases the power of the weak. Isaiah 40:29. So I come to you not as someone who has it all together, but as someone who needs you more than ever. Strengthen my hands, Lord. Steady my heart. Remind me that weakness is not failure. It's a doorway to encounter your grace. And in this moment, right now, I receive it. I receive fresh strength. I receive renewed focus. I receive the power to keep going, not because I'm strong, but because you are.
Lord, I confess, my heart has wandered at times. Wandered into worry, into scenarios I created in my mind that never even happened, into anxiety dressed up like logic. There are days when my thoughts run faster than my faith, when fear rises before truth has a chance to speak. But you are not the author of confusion. You are not the voice that panics or pressures. You are the voice that calms storms, not just around me, but within me. And so today, I ask for peace. Not the kind the world gives, not the kind that requires perfect conditions, but the kind that settles my soul even when nothing makes sense. Let your peace be my compass. Let it rule in my heart, not worry. Let it quiet the voices that accuse and the doubts that linger. Let it remind me that I am not walking through this moment alone. You go before me. You are beside me. You cover me on every side. I bring you every anxious thought, Lord, every what if, every timeline I've placed on your promises, every pressure I felt to make something happen in my own strength. I lay it all down. I release my need to fix everything. I release the illusion that peace comes from control. Because peace, real peace, only comes from trusting the one who's already holding it all together. Remind me of what's true. Remind me that you are not late, that delay doesn't mean denial, that just because I don't see movement doesn't mean you're not working. Teach my soul to rest, even while I wait. You will keep him in perfect peace, whose mind is stayed on you because he trusts in you. Isaiah 26:3. Let that be me, God. Let my mind be stayed on you, not on numbers, not on reports, not on outcomes, but on you. Let my rest come not from a change in my situation, but from a shift in my perspective. You are my shepherd. You lead me beside still waters. You restore my soul. Even in chaos, even in uncertainty, I will not be moved, because I am anchored in your peace. I don't want to perform for you. I don't want to impress you. I just want to be honest,
because you already know what's inside. You know where my faith is steady and where it's slipping. You know where I'm still hoping and where I've quietly given up. You know the places in my heart where I still believe and the ones where I don't even want to hope anymore because disappointment hit too hard. But even there, especially there, I say these words: I still trust you, Lord. Not because it feels easy, not because everything's falling into place, but because you have never failed me and you won't start now. Father, I come to you for healing. Heal what people can't see. Heal what words never touched. Heal the broken expectations, the delayed promises, the silent suffering. Heal the cracks in my confidence, the fears I buried instead of surrendering, the anger I tried to hide under spiritual language. I lay them all down, not to impress you, but to invite you into the places I've closed off, to invite you into the memories I've avoided, to invite you into the disappointment that still lingers. You're not afraid of my mess. You're not offended by my weakness. You are the God who meets people in the middle of their wilderness and speaks life again. So speak, Lord. Speak peace into my panic. Speak clarity into my confusion. Speak purpose into the places that feel meaningless. I choose to trust you, not just for what you do, but for who you are. You are faithful, you are good, you are near. The Lord is my strength and my shield. My heart trusts in him, and he helps me. Even now, especially now, help me to believe again. Help me to hope without reservation, to love without fear, to surrender without conditions, because you are not done with me. This valley will not last forever. This silence is not the end. This waiting is not wasted. You are writing a better story than I can imagine. And so, with everything I have left, I pray, I still trust you, Lord.
Father, I won't pretend to have it all figured out, but I know this: you are faithful. You've always been. You were faithful when I didn't notice. You were faithful when I didn't understand. You were faithful when I was running, and you're faithful now that I've stopped to listen. So I lay down my timeline, I release my expectations, and I surrender my heart fully to you. Because your ways are higher, your timing is perfect, and your love never fails. I'm not asking for a perfect life, I'm asking for a purified heart. One that doesn't panic when things feel uncertain. One that doesn't quit when the road is long. One that doesn't lose hope when answers take time. I ask for a heart that says yes again. Yes, even when I'm tired. Yes, even when I don't see. Yes, even when the tears come faster than the words. Because I trust the one who holds the outcome, not just the one I hoped for, but the one you know is best. Cover me, Lord. Cover my family. Cover my future. Cover every step I take from this moment forward. Let peace guard me. Let joy return to me. Let courage rise up inside me. And let my life bring you glory in the waiting, in the walking, and in the breakthrough. You are my shepherd. You are my refuge. You are my defender and my deliverer. You are the reason I'm still standing. So I declare, not in fear, but in full faith, Amen. I believe it, I receive it,
and I walk forward trusting you more than ever before. If this prayer touched your heart, I invite you to do 3 things right now. Click the like button, subscribe to this channel, and share this video with someone you love, someone who needs to hear that they're not forgotten, not alone, and that God is still worthy of trust. You never know who's hanging on by a thread, and your act of sharing might be the reason they hold on. Let's spread this message. Let's lift each other up, and let's keep walking in faith together. You are loved, you are seen, and your trust is not in vain.